it in there, composting in. So, wow, you see that one? Right back there behind me. Starting to get raindrops. Yeah, buddy. Alright, so we're about to get some rain. It's finally here. I wasn't sure if it was coming. Anyway. Alright, so we're getting calves ready to go to town, selling a bunch of them. Selling more than I thought. They're not all going to fit on my trailer. So over here at my neighbor's house, getting her trailer hooked up, and we're both going to take a load of my calves to town and get them to the sale barn and get them out of here. So this will be good. Stop feeding them, stop killing my grass. Yeah, I'm excited about it. So here we go. Man, why is hauling cattle always so hard? I had another bad trailer tire. We caught it before I left, so I had to change that. I was able to borrow a spare. I still haven't got my other spare fixed, so I had to make the trip without a spare. My neighbor had one for her trailer, so we had one between the two of us. So out of 8 tires, we had one spare. Anyway, and she got stuck in her yard, turning the truck around. But we got it done. So anyway, it's been kind of a frustrating day. But just the way it goes sometimes. So anyway, I'll be excited to get that check in the mail here in a couple days, and we'll see what those guys brought. And I'm hoping to go to the auction and watch them, watch mine sell, and then watch a bunch of other ones sell, and kind of see how I did, I guess, compare mine, the way they look, or the way I think they look, compared to whatever else is in there, and see how they do price-wise. So it'll be a good kind of a, I don't know, indicator, I guess, kind of a litmus test, I suppose, of how good those cows are, how good those calves are, that is, and well, we'll see. And get some off my grass, off my hay, off my feed. So yeah, it's gonna make all that way easier to manage for a little while until I can get the last 11 sold. So I actually ended up bringing 24. I thought I was only going to bring about 15 or so, but I ended up bringing 24 of them. So I've only got 11 calves left, so that's pretty cool. All right. If I go to that auction, I'll show you guys. So maybe we'll see you there. So I didn't make it over for that sale today, so I'll have to wait till next week when I get the check to know what they sold for. Out here in the pasture though, just checking it all out. Grass is starting to get pretty short. I'm gonna have to move them out of here soon. But I got over here, you see all this? That rain that I showed the other day, it was all the way up here in the pasture. So up at least this far. And the creek's, it's back there behind that fence. So just to kind of give you an idea. This is one of the trees that we had trimmed on though, and all the branches are, and logs and stuff that we'd cut are covered in driftwood now. Same thing over here. So pretty wild. That water was, flowing all the way up through here. Crazy. 4 inches of rain in one day. That'll do it. We got another inch that night, but it'd come down quite a bit. So walking away from the creek, but yet, look over here. There's more of that drift debris piled up over here too. So all the way up over here. Water was up. Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. So I've got the little Ford started up. I'm just going to get it out of my way, and I'm going to get the bush hog put back on it. The little bitty bush hog that I have, it's just a little 5-foot bush hog, but it doesn't fit on the 75. The 75 is too big, so I'm going to be selling that Ford at some point, but I got to get a bush hog for the 75, and that little 5-footer, it's too small for anything I need out here anyway. I got 160 acres that periodically needs mowed. If you just keep them mowed, then the grass it'll take over, and grass will grow and not those little things. So anyway, in the meanwhile, I need to get that sprayed, but I'm not ready to do that this weekend. But what I am going to do is get all this hay pushed off the floor of my hay barn. We'll use the 75 for that. It's a better tractor for it because the bucket's straight, right? See that? Nice straight line. Remember this Ford, and I bought it this way. I don't know what happened, but the bucket's got this big bend in it. that's annoying. It doesn't, you can't push stuff, you know, flat against the ground. So anyway, I'm gonna get all this pushed out of here and then get that bush hog put on there. Now that's the only bush hog I have, and I need to mow up around my camper, so cord is what I'll use to do it. So we'll have that ready. It's been raining a lot out here, so it's so wet up there. I haven't wanted to get in there and do it yet, but it's gonna need done eventually. It needs done right now. So sun's starting to go down, but I think I got about an hour and a half of daylight left, something like that. Maybe only an hour, but that ought to be enough time to get all this pushed out. So anyway, there's what it looks like now, and I'll show you here in a minute once I got it all cleaned up. I'm kind of losing the light, so before it gets too dark for me to record, I thought I'd show you. So what I've done is just pushed all the hay out over there, everything that was on the ground here. And I kind of got into the dirt a little bit over here, but no big deal. You don't want to take too much dirt, you know, over time, push the whole floor out of the barn. But it is built up in here about a foot or so above grade with shale. So anyway, it's nice, much cleaner in here. So there's still some kind of big clumps, but that's not a huge deal. The reason why I want to get all that hay out of here, there's a couple reasons, but the main one is that it'll hold moisture down here on the ground, and then whenever I go to stack this back up with hay, it'll just rot the bottom of my hay bales that much worse. Now that's still going to happen to a point, but I want to mitigate that as much as possible. That way my hay stays as good a quality and lasts as long as it can for the cows. The other thing is it fosters mice, and especially, you know, with the old Ford tractor over here, not a huge concern. There's not a lot for mice to chew on. That one, on the other hand, has a lot of electronics on it. So I really like that tractor. I want to keep it nice. I keep the hood popped on it. Especially now that I don't have a dog out here, though, mice are going to be a problem. So they live all out in the fields and stuff. But if I can get this out of here, then at least they won't be bedding down in here, nesting in the, you know, I mean, it was like 8 inches deep in some spots of hay. So anyway, kind of show you this real quick, a little pile that I got going on. And then you can see what I have set up. Tractor just right there. I'm going to push it all right out this gate, out this way. And then I have a spot right here that gets driven over a lot, a couple spots really. But over here, you can see there's some standing water in it, these areas, and over here. So I'm just going to get that hay pushed out into here and then spread that out to kind of mulch this. And that should help the grass kind of come back and help prevent just getting completely taken over with weeds. So anyway, yeah, I'm going to push this out real quick. So push it back here this way behind me, out the gate, and then we'll be done. So we're under tornado watch coming from this way. There's a big storm coming. Won't be here for a couple hours. So I think in the meanwhile, until it gets here, we'll jump on the Ford. I got the bush hog hooked up on it. I'm gonna see if I can get everything mowed around my pasture, or around my trailer rather, after that storm rolls through. It's supposed to be pretty severe, so I don't think I'll be able to get it done for the rest of the week. So jump on this whole girl, and haven't driven it in a long time. So yeah, hopefully everything works. But yeah, go get some bush hogging done, I think. As much as I can anyway. Find out. I'll show you guys the storm here in a minute. If it hits us like they say it will, it ought to be pretty cool. Well, that didn't take too long. Let me tell you though, it does not take long to get spoiled having a 4-wheel drive cab tractor versus this guy. So there's a huge difference between this and that. It's kind of funny, I've got the Case backhoe, the New Holland tractor over here, the Ford tractor here. Today those are actually all the same company. So Case IH is also New Holland, and New Holland owns the patent for all the Ford tractors. So if I ever actually needed like dealership parts for any of the tractors that I have out here, the backhoe, the 3600, or the New Holland, I can get them all at the same dealership. But yeah, New Holland has made a lot of improvements on that model, 2005 versus 70 something, I think early 70s, something like that. 3600, you can look that up. Pretty sure it's some 70s, something like that. So, anyway, that being said, it's kind of fun running this one open air. Stick some earplugs in. I got my little headphone things on, so listening to a little bit of Billy Strings and mowing the lawn. It's kind of fun. Kind of like it. Kind of miss running it. So I I don't know. I need to sell it because I mean I've got no real use for it other than the bush hog. Turn the key off. The key doesn't turn it off. The choke does. I've got no real need for it now that I've got this one, right? Except that my bush hog's too small for the big tractor. So, but like I said the other day, I just need to get a bigger bush hog. But I don't know. I like the old girl. She needs a little bit of work. She's got some power steering problems still yet. Not really problems. It's this other side here. I know what it is. I just need to fix it. This guy right here screwed too far out. I just need to pull this back out, thread it in there about probably half an inch, and the power steering will work a lot better again. That's all it takes. I just haven't gotten to it yet. So, and it's been that way since I had to weld the tie rod back together after I broke it and popped that tire. But first time I've run the bush hog since I wrapped a 3/8 log chain up in it. So I don't know, I mean, I didn't have it for all that long, but a lot of, well, memories, let's put it that way. Not all good. Wrapping chains up in a bush hog and snapping drag links off. But I don't know, I like it. What do you guys think? Should I keep it around? It's a pretty cool tractor. I think I'll be better suited to turn it into money, but kind of hate to let it go. It's rancher's first tractor. So here's what I just got done. Should have taken a before picture. I didn't, but all of this, not too bad. I don't think it even took me, what time is it? Yeah, didn't even take me an hour. So, got all this knocked down. Pretty sweet. So I wrapped that log chain around that bush hog, and I hadn't used it since, like I said. And I don't know, it did as good a job as it ever has. So it's always been a pretty junky bush hog. It cuts at a little bit of an angle. Somebody's wrapped something heavy up in it before. I noticed the gearbox on it was bent, and I thought maybe I'd done that, but then I got to thinking about it, and it's always cut at an angle. So a few spots like this right here next to the camper. I can't get to that with the tractor because, hang on a minute, septic tank right there. So I can't drive over that with the tractor, or I probably could. I don't want to though. I don't want to risk it. Also, water line, sewer lines right over there. I don't want to risk cracking the top of this tank or something like that. So right up here by the camper, I need to just probably spray this. Now, I don't know if you can see it under there. No, probably not. My buddy did give me a weed eater. I've actually not started it since he gave it to me. He gave it to me in the winter, so everything was dormant. I haven't needed it until, well, right now. I don't know, I think I still got an hour or two before the storm gets here. Go get I don't have a weed eater line, so yeah, so much for that. I guess I can still fire it up before I go buy weed eater line. Yeah, let's do that. I'm gonna go get some gas to put in that weed eater, see if it works. Oh no. What is this? Well, not sure what just happened, but I just fired this weed eater up. I pulled the air filter out of it. It looks terrible. So I'm gonna take that to work and clean it up, but I'll show you again. It should fire right off. Cool. All right. So thanks, man. The guy gave me this four-wheeler. If you see this video, you know who you are. But you check your air filters more often. Look at that. Yuck. Not cool. Anyway, we'll clean that air filter up, put it back on there, and then I need to get some weed eater lines. So you guys missed it because something happened. I don't know what it was, but anyway, it took I think about 6 pulls and fired right off. So got a weed eater, just need to go get some line. So this big storm, it's off over there, it's supposed to hit us about 30 minutes ago, and so far it just kind of hasn't. Neighbors came over for a little bit and got to talk about the garden. So let's see here. Let's look at this guy. Now this is store-bought potting soil here. See, that plant looks pretty good. Looks awesome, really. Here's the stuff that we made. Not near as good. All right, compare that one to this one. See, you got some yellowing on the leaves here. All the ones that are in our homemade potting soil kind of look that way. So one thing I didn't know is I was asking her about, and I'd wanted to ask her about, did we put too much manure or not enough? And she said the problem is it presents both ways, presents the same both ways. So if they have too much nitrogen in the soil from the manure, then they'll get these same yellowed leaves, right? Like this guy. And if they don't have enough nitrogen, same problem. So the stuff in this store-bought mix, the plants that is in the store-bought mix, looks really good. They're nice and green. Yeah, I mean, no signs of problems at all. All these ones though, they're just not doing as well. They still look okay, but they're not just they're not rocking out quite as much as that one that we got in the potting soil. Now my peppers, these came straight out of a greenhouse. We put this cover on them because they were getting sunburnt, which I didn't even know that was a thing. I thought plants loved sun, but apparently when they're grown in a greenhouse, they're not used to just full direct sunlight, hence the cover. My ghost pepper over here, it's the worst looking one out of all of them. See the leaves. Now these are both of these tubs are potting mix, so they're just straight potting mix. We added a little bit of manure to them, but not much. A couple of my little miniature shovel over there, right there. This jalapeno looks really good right here. All the rest of them, they're kind of sunburnt. So anyway, we'll keep the row cover on them. Tuck them back in a minute. And then she's about to have some more a different kind of tomato plant that we're going to put in this empty tub here. So I don't know, it'll be interesting to see how these plants do, the ones in our homemade potting soil. The topsoil that we have out here though, it's a really tight clay, and so her suspicion was that our manure mix was a little bit too hot because we were trying to loosen up the soil, and the manure, the compost manure that we had was looser than the clay, so she thinks we might have added a little bit too much. And so her suggestion was just to keep watering it, and that will filter some of that out, and they should come back and be just fine. So they're just kind of getting hit with a lot of nutrients all at once, and too much nitrogen, too hot, which you can run into that. So it wasn't super well, there was lightning, it wasn't super well composted manure. It was only about 6 months old. I think usually you want to wait about a year on composting manure and mixed with like straw or hay or something like that before you actually put it in your garden. So yeah, I think we've got the mix a little bit too hot here. First time she's made potting soil in this part of the country. She's a horticulturist by trade. Yeah, there's some thunder back there. Can you guys see that? Right there. That's rain over there. So it's coming. But talk about that in a second. So she knows her stuff, but she's not used to working with this particular soil. And the soil that we have out here, if I can find some of it, it's not just the best. It's even hard to scoop out. So it's very tight, watertight that is. It's real sticky. This type of clay, you can see it sticking all over my hands. So the stuff that's up here, it's the driest, and yet you can see I can still kind of form it. You know, you can roll a ball out of that, and so not a lot of air can get through there to the roots. Now you don't want big pockets down there just full of air, but it needs to get air to the roots. That's how I don't know. You know what? I'm not an expert, but it needs air to the roots. The soil needs to be permeable, which if we compare what I just showed you to this potting mix, right? Let me just scoop of that. Right? So it's peat moss and all kinds of stuff. I mean, look, I can just scoop it up and it just falls apart. So that's the difference. Let's look at this one. Yeah, see, that's hard to dig. Can't hardly scoop it out of there. And it's kind of crumbly once you get it in your hand, but to try and stick my hand in it, yeah. So our potting soil that we tried to make up ourselves, it's too tight, we think, and that caused us to try and add more manure to it. Compost, that is, compost manure. But it wasn't quite old enough. So the manure's too hot, the soil's too tight, and it's hurting all these plants from here back. They should be okay, so she thinks. She gave me a couple ideas. We can get more potting soil and top dress this. And I didn't know this about tomatoes, but if you bury them all the way up to, say, here, they'll just start growing roots all along this stem. I didn't know that. I assumed if you buried a plant up that high, it would be bad for it, but apparently on tomatoes, though, yeah, I mean, we can bury, here's another one. We can bury it all the way up to like here, and it'll just grow more roots. So if we top dress this, another new word that I learned, with this type of potting soil, then that should help them. They should get that nice free soil where they can get better respiration, I guess, if it requires air. I don't know. I'm not an expert. That's why I'm glad I have a cool neighbor who is. But yeah. Now the caveat that she said is that these guys, the ones in our homemade potting mix, they're probably not going to need, about to start raining on me, they're not going to need a whole lot of nutrients later on in the year. Whereas this guy in the commercially available potting mix, I'm going to have to feed that one later. And the same with the peppers. And the peppers need a lot of food to do well, is my understanding. So, you know, it is what it is. Now, contrast our homemade potting mix with this is just topsoil that I put in this tub for my herbs last year. Except I mixed it with a ton of leaves. And I think I'm actually happier with this. So, let me show you. I dug around in this earlier. You can see, I mean, that's loose. Oh, did I show you that well? Let me try it again. See that? It's nice loose soil. So, but that's a year of leaves and sticks and stuff that I added in there, composting in. So, wow, did you see that one? Right back there behind me. Starting to get raindrops. Yeah, buddy. Alright, so we're about to get some rain. It's finally here. I wasn't sure if it was coming. Anyway, so that's a year's worth of composting leaves in with just some topsoil. And that I really like. So I think if I want to make tubs like this again in the future, what I need to do is a year ahead of time, I need to go scrape up leaves and twigs and sticks and stuff and mix that with topsoil and let it compost together. Add some manure in there as well, wouldn't hurt, but let that compost for a full year. And then if we added the vermiculite, this stuff, this white stuff, right? White stuff, if we add that to that composted leaves, I think it'll be that much better. So we're learning here, and that's why we did the experiment with this one just in store-bought potting soil and the rest of them in the homemade. I think I'd be better off going with this stuff. I mean, this looks way better. See, it's nice and crumbly, loose, so that's going to get plenty of air and whatever in there. And you can still see there's still some sticks in there that haven't broke down yet. So let's talk about this storm before I get rained out here. There's oh, wait, there's gonna be more thunder. Still a ways off. There's a huge lake over here, Lake Eufaula. Depending on how you measure it, Lake Eufaula is either the biggest or the second biggest lake in Oklahoma. You can measure it by shoreline. There's a little one. You can measure it by shoreline, you can measure it by capacity, and you can measure it by surface area. One of those ways, Lake Eufaula is the biggest lake in the state, and the other two, Lake Texoma, south of me, is the biggest lake in the state. Regardless, though, these big storms move through, and I looked at the radar a couple hours ago, and there was a huge swath of a storm was supposed to move right across us. Looked at it just about 30 minutes ago, and it hits Lake Eufaula, and it splits in half and goes right around me, and then kind of closes back up. And there's a little bit more stuff trailing. You guys can't see how dark these skies are. Whoa, that was a good one too. But so what happens, and this happens all the time, they'll call for terrible weather, tornadoes, all kinds of stuff, and then the storm front will hit Eufaula off that way, and it just splits, and it goes right around, 20-30 miles. There it is. 20-30 miles north of me, 20-30 miles south of me. And just opens up, goes right around me, and then keeps on going. So every time we get calls for terrible weather, honestly, I don't worry about it that much, because it just doesn't happen. There's that huge body of water right off to the they're south of me, to the southwest of me. Storms come up usually from the southwest, and then work their way across. You guys hear the rain hitting the tin? It's coming. So we'll get some rain, but we don't get the super severe weather that they call for. Pretty much never. So, all right. Raindrops. About to get wet, so all right. If anything cool happens, I'll show you guys, but should just be some rain. I've reset my rain gauge. I'll show you guys tomorrow, whatever we get. So, see you tomorrow. So all that fuss about the storm, all it produced was a half-inch of rain. So, no big deal. Alrighty, guys. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.